And I think the best way to not keep it completely still. So you can take those knees or bring your knees up so the lower back or the pelvis is in that neutral position. Arms can be out to the sides, up overhead, a bit more like those goalpost arms, cactus arms. So, and just kind of settle here, letting the spine just sink into the floor, into the earth. And begin by taking deep breaths in through your nose and exhaling, sighing them out. You can even stick your tongue out if you wish. So a couple of rounds here. Inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh it out. So let go. Exhale anything that feels heavy today. Inhaling perhaps twice more through your nose. Exhale, let it go. Good. Last one here. Deep inhale. Exhale, let it go out through wide mouth. Good. So then find back to your natural breath and allow your knees just to flop from side to side. So we are probably still just employing 80% of effort here. So keep your knees quiet and your legs quite heavy as you just let them dip from side to side. So and if you notice yourself that you're doing it quite quickly, kind of just slow it down a little bit. So as your legs feel maybe a little heavier, so that rocking motion where they just flop to one side may almost add a little bit of weight as you let them sway from side to side. And bring your awareness to your pelvis as well. So notice if you're keeping the pelvis planted on the earth, or if you let it rock naturally as well, so that that one side of the pelvis actually lifts. Good. If it feels okay, just kind of roll on the back of your head. So you're just naturally just letting the weight of your head just flop from almost ear to ear. So not too big of a stretch, just a bit of a opposite, almost like a counterweight. Knees to the right, maybe the gaze goes to the left. Without really an agenda of letting your lower back warm up, maybe stretch for the side. Good. And the next time you let your knees drop to the right, stay in that position. And focus on your breath. So bring the breath through your nose and let it travel into the lower abdomen. If you want to add a bit more of a deeper stretch to that sensation, maybe take your right foot and place it on the outside of your left thigh or left knee. So you may notice it's a bit more of a weight. If there's too much of a pull anywhere, especially around the back area, then please do take the foot off again. So allowing the body just to settle here. Then the left knee or the left hip internally rotates, causing a bit more of a pull on the left hip, the left thigh. 2 more breaths. So really explore inflating your belly and feel the belly deflating, feeling a bit softer. Good. 1 more breath. And then release the foot if it was lifted. Slowly bring your knees back to center. Take a moment just to let the pelvis settle here. Maybe 1 more deep breath into your lungs, upper lung, mid, lower lungs. Let go of your breath. And then also let your legs flop over to the left side. Keep them here. So adjust in any way. So optional here, you may want to bring the left ankle on the outside of your right thigh, your right knee. So explore the breath in the right side of your body. You may actually want to try lengthening your right arm up overhead. So you're literally lengthening from your fingertips down your elbow, armpit, all the way down for your waist towards the knee. Maybe with your opposite hand, perhaps you almost lengthen. You wrap your left hand perhaps, or your left index and thumb around your right wrist. So notice how you're almost pulling in opposite directions. 2 more breaths here. And then release your arm, release the weight of your foot. Return back to neutral, to the neutral position on your back. Hug your knees in towards your chest. So any movement here, maybe visualize your pelvis as that clock. So you're rotating, you're rolling on your pelvis through those 4 corners, maybe 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So notice which corner, which kind of area needs a little bit more tension. Maybe actually roll through that area only. So perhaps bring your nose towards your knees of your back in the center. And if the floor is not too hard, hold on to the backs of your thighs and kind of just rock here on your back. So we are not coming up to seated. Kind of just explore here, rocking on your spine forwards and backwards. So your legs act more as that lever. So explore what feels good. If it doesn't feel good at all, just come back and perhaps just hold onto your knees, circle those knees, circle on your lower back. Good. So for some it may feel good, for some it may feel less comfortable, less of a release. And then find your way back to that neutral position on your back. Bring your feet down so that you're ready to lift up into bridge posture. So relatively close towards your bottom, knees a little bit apart, arms alongside the body. So we are keeping one arm on the floor and lifting the opposite arm up and over while lifting the hips. So perhaps keep your left palm planted on the earth as you lift up on the inhale. Lift hips and your right arm up and overhead. Exhale, bring hips and right arm down. So alternate here. As you lift, right arm stays down, left arm reaches up and over. So do this a couple of rounds mindfully with your breath, lifting, lengthening. So perhaps aim bringing your hips and your one palm down to the earth at the same time. So you probably have to move your arm a little bit faster and slow down that lowering of your pelvis. So take perhaps 2 more sets here. Inhale, lengthening. Exhaling, coming back down. So perhaps notice how you almost pull again in opposite direction. So with one arm down, one arm up. So and once you finish, hug your knees back in towards your chest. So you can notice always perhaps curl together like a little ball if that feels okay. So bring your feet down again. Same movement, different arm positions. So bring those arms into those robot arms. Really close or just as if your elbows and upper arms are glued towards your rib cage. Fingertips point up, palms face each other. So really active arms. And then lift your hips up towards the ceiling, pressing also into your upper arms, stretching more through the back of your neck, shoulders, and exhaling slowly lower down. So emphasis here, yes, we are lifting up, and you may feel it a bit more for working for the glutes, but it's also a nice stretch for your upper back, for the neck area, and slowly lower. So you may want to add on from here. You may want to perhaps lift up onto the balls of your feet. Notice if your knees flop out to the left and to the right, so keep them centered. Breathe. And at any point, bring your heels down, also lower your hips down. So you can do a couple of more rounds, more sets. So depending what you're after tonight, if you want to keep the feet flat on the floor, maybe lift one leg off the floor, bring it down as if you're marching on the spot in that bridge pose. So again, your arms also act as that lever, that foundation. So notice how it feels. Perhaps bring your hips down, maybe even hug your knees in. So we can come back into one more set of a few breaths here. So it strengthens the lower back, the glutes, but you have those arms as the foundation to support you as well. So bring your feet down again. One more set, perhaps of, let's say, about 5. So set yourself up again with your arm position. Hands really active, or arms really active. When you're ready, slowly lift your hips up towards the ceiling. Maybe you want to stay here. Keep enough space between your chin and your chest. So almost imagine you're holding onto an orange or a clementine. So you don't want to squeeze it. So you can also still breathe. So optional, you can lift your heels. You can even alternate lifting one heel at a time. It's still kind of marching, but you keep that connection with the balls of your feet. So it still lets those glutes fire up. Or you can keep one foot down, gentle lift of one leg at a time. And then slowly, whenever you're ready, bring your hips down, hug your knees in towards the chest. So any movement here, curling together. Good. And bring your left foot down, holding onto your right knee. Give it a bit of a squeeze. So actually not really doing anything, just allowing the spine, allowing the lower back to soften here. So perhaps you want to circle for your right foot. So you can keep the foot still, or you can circle, maybe point, flex, change directions. So we'll keep quite a firm hold on your shin or on the back of your right thigh. So the weight of your leg helps to lengthen the lower back. And then release your leg. This time bring it actually up towards the ceiling. So give it a bit of a shake, flex and point your right foot. So it may be a little bit tight. So allow the exhale to take that edge of that perhaps first stretch through the hamstring. Good. And then bring your knee back in, right knee comes back in, hold onto your right knee, allow some hip circles to follow. So mobilizing through your right hip. So explore even larger circles, maybe as you draw your knee, the right knee out towards the right side, causing perhaps more of a deeper sensation in your inner thighs and the groins. Good. And then hug your knee back in towards your chest. Let it hover here. On the exhale, draw the belly in and lift your nose, or bring your nose up towards your right knee. Stay in that posture, perhaps for a couple of breaths. So chin moves a little closer towards your chest. Good. And then allowing your upper body to soften down. Bring your right foot down. Good. First side done. Second side, hug your left knee in towards your chest. So just allowing the second side to release. So you may feel a stretch for your for your glutes, for the butt cheek. So circle for your left foot as well. Circle, flex, point. And then extend your left leg up towards the ceiling. Start with a little bit of a wobble. And then flex and point your left foot. Lengthen the exhale. And then bring your left knee in towards your chest, moving into hip circles. So again, moving eventually into larger circles where the left knee points a little bit further out towards the left side. So you almost have a bit of a weight on your left knee to explore that stretch through the inner thigh. Good. And with your next circle, bring your knee back towards the chest. Hold on with both hands. Deep breath through your nose. On the exhale, lift your nose towards your left knee. So chin towards the chest as you curl together. Good. 2 more breaths here. And then release your upper body down. Bring the opposite knee in, so both knees in towards the chest. And then roll over to one side and come into seated position. Oh, good. So in a seated sort of cross-leg position, or you can even keep the outer edges of your feet towards one another. You can bring a blanket or a block underneath your bottom. So finding kind of just that length through the spine. So we are kind of almost rolling, perhaps swaying a little bit. So focus on kind of the lower back, stretching out the lower back. So maybe swaying a bit to the left, to the right, maybe moving through some circles. So aim is here to lengthen through the lower back. So using your upper body or the weight of your upper body to help. So the more you lean forward or more to the sides, the more you bring movement in. So you can sit cross-legged, you can keep the feet in any way. So allowing yourself to feel into the hips, the groins, the lower back. So start by those more dynamic movements. So without keeping a more static hold on one side. So then you probably know which area feels a little tighter, which area starts to release a bit more. And so we are moving again from the left to the center, to the right side. So, and this time stay for a little bit more static. So your arms can be resting just in front of you. You can crawl your fingertips away. So, and allowing yourself to breathe into the back, whichever side you start with. So for a little bit more of a static hold. Also gravity pulling you down starts to lengthen. There are 2 more breaths on the first side. And then gradually walk your hands towards the center. So again, use your hands to support you, whether they're resting on your shins, on your feet, on the floor. 2 more breaths, centering here in the seated position. And then gradually, small steps, make your way over to the second side. So let the breath travel down to your back or into your back and further down into those areas that feel a bit more of a lengthening, more of a stretch. 2 more breaths. And then walk your hands back to center and come up into a seated position. Well, so moving into a gentle twist. So if it feels uncomfortable sitting with the feet together or cross-legged, you can even release them out in front of you. So just clearing up some tension around the back. Good. One more on each side. And then find your way back to center, neutral, tabletop, the next one. So rounding really through the spine, maybe even shifting the bottom back. Perhaps you want to stay in that extended child's pose for 2 or 3 breaths. So perhaps lengthening your arms out in front of you. Good. And then moving through some cat and cows, whichever feels more comfortable. So you can do them more static through tabletop, cat and cows, or you can make them more dynamic as you shift your hips back while keeping the back rounded. So moving through that cat posture, keeping that back rounded and shifting the hips back. So maximum lengthening of the back body. So you can always perhaps alternate between more static, hold, and perhaps more of a dynamic round. Good. So perhaps come back to neutral tabletop, have a little bit of a relax. You start to circle your rib cage. So we're kind of taking the rib cage out towards the right, rounding, coming to cat back, moving over to the left side. So rib cage circles literally. Perhaps even change directions here. So going the opposite way. Good. And then find your way back to center. Maybe sway with your hips towards the left and to the right. So perhaps even as your hips sway towards the right, maybe bring your right arm actually more consciously towards the left side as you lengthen. So you almost take it perhaps even off the mat, depending how deep a stretch you're after for the right side. Perhaps then change directions again. So the bottom can actually float in the air. So shifting hips towards the left. So almost keeping it up a little bit higher. So there may be a stretch for your armpit, rib cage, almost all the way down towards the left waist, towards the left hip. So really stretch those areas out. Good. And then from here, find your way back to neutral tabletop. So a bit of balancing and strengthening. So probably it sounds familiar. So activate your core first, kind of really feel that strength. Left leg and right arm extend. And then bring them down. Change sides. Right arm and left leg. No, sorry. Yeah, opposite sides. Bring them back in, lengthening. And coming back down. So as if you're almost running. At any point, maybe stay for a little bit more in a hold. So keep your gaze down towards the the hand that's resting on the floor. Breathe here as you balance, lengthening, stretching, reaching with your arm forward, your foot back. Perhaps flex the back foot. And then bringing your arm and leg back in. So second side, almost equal amount of time as you hold. So activate through your core so you're not having 100% of your weight in your wrist. So imagine you're being pulled forwards and backwards, creating length through the spine. One more breath. And then coming back down. A couple of tabletop circles, or maybe you're shifting back towards child's pose, more floating or rolling child's pose. Good. From here, perhaps get ready to transition into downward dog, so you can curl your toes under, lift up into downward dog, stretch out whatever needs a stretch. So sway, wiggle, wobble, one leg lifts. So again, you know what you need the most. Good. Stretching. Perhaps turning both toes to face the long edge of your mat, so the knees even point away from you. It stretches more the side body. Lovely. And then get ready to bring your knees down again, tabletop. Couple of perhaps rests in child's pose. Bring the big toes together, knees a little wider as you almost nestle your hips back. You can bring your forehead on the floor underneath your arms. So really allow your lower back to lengthen. So take a few breaths in through your nose, maybe again out through a wide mouth. Good. Two more breaths. Good. And coming back up into tabletop. So a bit more of a balancing, again, that bird dog with a bit more of a progression. So again, navel engages, core gets ready to zip up, left leg and right arm extends. Find that almost effortless hold. On the exhale, bend elbow and knees as you bring them towards one another. So you may want to keep your eyes fixed, or you may want to move your eyes towards your elbow, towards your knees. So on the exhale, crunch. On the inhale, lengthen. So perhaps take 3 more. Good. And then once you're done, come back to center. Move either, so optional here, child's pose or up into downward dog. So both positions actually lengthen again the spine from your tailbone towards the base of your skull. So again, any free movement in downward dog, you may want to lift one leg, perhaps bend, open through the hip. Good. So let go of anything that feels heavy. Good. Stretch out and then get ready to bring your knees back down, tabletop. Oh, before we move on to second side, perhaps sit back, circle through your wrists. Maybe even give them a bit of a shake. So opening, closing, perhaps bring both fists together, perhaps just letting them ease. Good. So second side, back to tabletop. Left arm and right leg. So navel engages, lengthen. So find your balance, find your stability. Inhale, and on the exhale, elbow towards knee. Lengthen, inhale, exhale, crunch. So let the breath guide you. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, crunch. So it may probably mean you move a little slower. Do perhaps 2 more here. Good, and then coming back to neutral tabletop. Optional again here, you can move into child's pose or up into downward dog. So depending how you feel. Even from downward dog, if you're up and you feel so energetic, perhaps come onto the balls of your feet as you shift the weight into plank. So you may seesaw between plank and downward dog, perhaps lift up one leg in downward dog, cross them over, walk your feet, march on the spot. Good. And maybe give your neck, head a bit of a shake. And begin to walk your hands towards your feet. Keep your knees generously bent. So we're actually after our bellies and thighs making contact with one another. So the lower back's really nice and flat. So find a bit of that softness here. Allow your upper body to fold forward. So maybe you want to hold on to opposite elbows. A bit of a sway, a bit of a release here. So gradually here, from here, work towards straightening your legs. Good, few breaths. Lovely. So release your arms again, floppy, heavy arms. Walk through a downward dog and then actually bring your knees down and come onto your belly. Stretching out, arms underneath your forehead, resting. So a few deep belly breaths. So feel the torso deflating on the exhale. And as you inflate the torso, imagine you've got this balloon in your lower belly. But that balloon also blows up the sides and the lower back. So nourish your lower back from the inside out. So a couple of deep, full breaths. So notice how the rest of your body feels. So from here, keep your arms exactly as they are. So resting or keeping your upper body completely still, relaxed. So engage your legs only. So you may lift both legs at the same time, just an inch or a couple of inches off the floor, and then lower them down. So lift and lower. So just your lower body moves. So perhaps you want to keep your legs lifted, maybe as if you're just in the water, perhaps as if you're just flippering your feet. So you keep the legs lifted, just without bringing them down. Continue to breathe as you almost tread water. And then allowing your legs to come down again. Rock through your lower back. You can even bend both knees. So as you bend perhaps both knees, maybe bring your heels a little closer towards your bottom. So there may be a stretch for your front thigh. Change that circling of your legs as well, of your lower legs as well. Good. Bring your movement back to stillness. So lower part done. So you can keep your palms underneath your forehead. You probably know what's coming. So just you're isolating the top body, sort of upper body. So on the inhale, lift your arms, your head, your shoulders off the floor. Exhale, lower down. So a few rounds here, lift. So your feet stay on the floor. Exhale, lower. So it doesn't have to be a large lift. Just as much that you lift perhaps an inch or so off the floor, even if it's less, it's enough to engage through the lower back. So perhaps do this 2 or 3 more times. Lift and lower. And then release the lower back, wiggle from side to side. So extend both arms towards the side, palms facing down. Your forehead may rest to start with. So on the inhale, lift all the limbs, your head, your shoulders off the floor. Perhaps reach with your right arm towards your right foot, maybe even looking over your right shoulder. Change position, change sides as you alternate sides. So you're moving a little bit through the side. You're floating on your belly. Continue to breathe at any point. Come down, perhaps resting even your neck, forehead on the floor. So come down and come back into the position at any time. So keeping your leg extended, lifting and just hovering above the earth as you reach with your hand towards your feet. So the legs are long. Good. And then softening again, releasing. Maybe bring your hands underneath your forearms, underneath your forehead. So a few breaths into your belly. So from here, come onto your forearms. You may just want to bring both arms underneath your, almost parallel to the short edge of your mat. You may come into Sphinx posture. So see what actually feels good. Even as you just come up here, have a soft bend in those elbows with a very small back bend. You can always progress from here, whatever feels good. So notice where you want to feel that stretch. Maybe just a little bit of a back bend. You can lift just your chest, your shoulders. So perhaps you want to gradually work at coming up a little bit higher. If you want to come up higher, engage through your legs. So the tips of your toes, or almost your toenails, press into the earth as your knees lift. So your butt cheeks might even clench, so that really engages the lower back to protect you. You can then slowly come back out of the posture, release, soften. So you can come back in one more time, perhaps take it more gradually. Maybe that's enough here for you today. So no specific arm position, just so you're coming to very gentle back bend. So as always, way to progress. So seek more length through the spine rather than hanging here. So seek more length. So as your navel draws in and your legs are engaged, almost you're squeezing the butt cheeks together, the glutes. And then softening here as well. Coming back onto your front body. Have a little bit of a wiggle. And then from here, roll onto your side. So I'm choosing the left side. So you may want to just bring your left arm underneath your shoulder. So it's not too deep a stretch. So we are stretching more the the left side of the body, or for you, if you're on the right side, more the right side. So keeping the legs nice and long. So with the weight of your body almost hovering here, seeking a gentle stretch, you can always slightly progress here. You can release your arm a little bit further away from you as you lift up slightly higher. So emphasis more on that side stretch. Bring the spine more into that side, into the lateral change. So it may notice where it may feel aggravating. So you can slowly lower down. You can come back in, depending on shoulder or elbow issues. And direct the breath into that area. So then slowly come back out. You can roll once more onto your front, have a little bit of a wiggle. And then second side. So again, observe. So perhaps take it really very small stages. Maybe that's enough here. You can slowly bring that elbow in. So give it a moment, perhaps just to let the body adjust and almost release. So you can always progress by slowly lifting higher up. So listen to your body in case it feels restrictive or too much of a niggle. So you can always stretch back out, release down, and almost as if you're maybe lying on a beach or even reading a book. So just a gentle lift through your upper back. Go 2 more breaths if you're still in the posture. And then slowly rolling once more onto your front. And bring your hands underneath your shoulders. So we're slowly lifting up into tabletop and pushing all the way back into child's pose. So bringing the spine into neutral. You can decide whether you want to curl together really like a little ball. So maybe that feels good. Perhaps even rock a bit from sides, just from side to side. Maybe even on your forehead. So even just your forehead perhaps rolls almost from temple to temple. A couple of breaths. Rise up into a kneeling position and actually swing your legs forward. So stretch your perhaps left leg out in front of you as you hug your right knee in towards your chest. So moving into a little bit of a twist. So perhaps rock, wiggle on your sitting bones. So you're lengthening through your spine. So optional here, you can keep your leg on the same side, or you want to perhaps step it over your left leg. So again, depends how it feels. So choose what works. So from here, moving into more of a close twist. So reach your right arm all the way up, lengthening, big arm circle as you bring it behind you. With your left knee or with your left arm, you either hug or just hold on to your right thigh, your right shin. So lengthen and turn from your lower ribs towards the right side. So your neck, your head's the last thing that turns in that twist. So wherever you stop, use that as a starting point to breathe, twist, and on the exhale, perhaps move a little deeper. So stretching here. Your hip, the outer hip, and twisting through your more mid-rib area, mid-back area. Lovely. 2 more breaths. And then slowly return your torso back to center. So you can, depending, so moving into forward fold, you can move the right heel closer towards the left hip, or you can extend the right leg in front of you. So whatever feels more, so it's a little bit of a weight as you lean forward. So it's slightly stronger on your left hamstring. So find that stillness as you release your back and lengthen the left. Backside. So slowly begin to lengthen the exhale. So probably gives you the feeling as if you're just coming a little closer towards the earth. Inhale through your nose, exhale either through your nose or through pursed lips. And then slowly come back into seated position and cross your right leg. Oh, bring your left knee in towards your chest. Again, you can hold on, you have a little bit of a wiggle. Notice whether you want to keep your left leg on the same side or you want to step your left foot over your right leg. Again, a bit of a wiggle. So, and then with your left hand, reach forward, up. So you lengthen and then all the way back. So you naturally move into the twist. Keep that length as you hold onto your left thigh, left knee. So lengthen on the inhale, exhale, slowly twist. So whenever you finish in that twist with your breath, with the exhale, stay in that position and initiate that inhale and continue almost with the twist. So it may not move a lot, but you definitely deepen that twist. So a couple of long, full breaths. And with your next inhale, return your torso back to center. So perhaps bring the left heel a little closer towards your right hip. And you might want to wiggle here, or if that feels uncomfortable, keep that left leg long so it's still crossed over as you begin to lean forward. Notice if you have your left leg more bent, if it presses on the knee joint. So then remove it so it doesn't cause any injury on your knee. So let the breath work into the pose. And allow it to lengthen. You may feel the body gets heavier. Good, 3 more breaths. And then slowly come back out. Uncross your feet. Maybe have a bit of a wiggle, kind of letting your thighs flop against. Yeah, we can bend both knees. Oh, then come onto your back. Oh, hugging the knees once more in. So just allow yourself to rock from side to side or curl together if that feels okay. Good. So just keeping the weight of your legs just resting, hovering above your chest, your belly. So perhaps hold on to both knees. So perhaps gently move them away from you on the inhale, exhale, hug them back in. Almost feel a bit of that rocking in the pelvis as your arms lengthen. Exhaling, drawing the knees in. So inhale, guide your knees away from you. Exhale, bring them back in. So the inhale may create a bit of an arch in your spine. In the lower back, exhale, flattens it, and perhaps even lifts the tailbone slightly. Perhaps take 3 more of those. So almost letting the body naturally just rock, wobble. Good. And then once you're done, bring your feet down. So any resting pose, you can stay here. If you keep your knees bent, make sure the knees just drop against each other. So the feet are a little bit wider. So that the lower back is almost flat on the floor, just neutral pelvis. So alternatively, you can even bring actually the feet together and let your knees out, drop out to the left and to the right. So it may feel nice enough for a stretch. Few variations here to find relief, find rest. So eyes can be closed or you may have a soft gaze. And focus on the breath flowing in and out through your nostrils. So let each exhale, let the body feel a little heavier. You may feel you relaxing deeper into the earth. So if you wish, focusing on lengthening the exhale. Feel the breath quietly moving in to your whole body, perhaps directed to those areas that still feel a little bit maybe tense, a bit sore, a bit stiff. So nourish those areas from the inside out. Let your whole body feel heavier and sense connection of your feet, your legs, pelvis, your upper body, and the back of your head against the earth. Feeling held, feeling supported. So with your next inhale, draw the breath up towards the crown of your head. Then exhale it down into the base of your spine. From the base of your spine or your tailbone, let the breath travel up, maybe along your spine towards the top of your head. So maybe breathing up and down your spine. Each inhale brings maybe a sense of lightness. Peacefulness into the body. Each exhale, let's go. Any expectations, any worries, any stress. So continue to breathe up and down your spine. Whole body is at ease. Your breath is quiet. Your mind calm. Very gradually and slowly invite deeper breath back into your whole body. Perhaps bring movement to your fingers, your toes, your hands, your feet. Maybe rock your head from side to side. And maybe stretching the arms up and overhead, stretching from fingertips to toes. Keep your eyes still closed while you're just kind of moving the body. Maybe guide your knees back in towards the chest. You maybe just want to curl together or just rock from side to side. Good. And then from here, just allow yourself to topple over to one side and find your way back up into any seated position. Ooh, good. So just take a moment to land, to arrive, to notice. Perhaps before we finish, bring actually one hand onto your belly and one hand, I don't know if you can see, onto your lower back. So you're literally resting your hands like this. And then direct the breath into your hands, into the palms of your hands. So perhaps a little bit of movement, maybe it takes a bit of effort, a bit of practice, even into your lower back. So we're directing the breath down and out. So probably on the lower back, there's just very little movement. But you can actually train to breathe into your palm. So it's probably easier if you're lying on your front and having just a bit of a weight on your back. You can also do this seated, which probably takes a bit more effort, but it works. Good. Take perhaps one more breath here into those areas. And then release your palms, bring them back together in front of your heart center. Thank yourself for making time this evening. Namaste. Good.